My name is Gonzalo van Wyk and I am currently a second year student in Foundation Phase Teaching. And welcome to my presentation on problem-based learning. Now, firstly, when we look at the teachers of the 21st century, I think we can all agree that they have a very big and important role that they need to fulfill in educating young learners. Schools were once upon a time a place where children were only seen and not heard. I can remember when I was in school, you have to sit in rows quietly, listening to the teacher while she pours all this knowledge into your head, and then you have to work individually on worksheets that the teacher gave you. But luckily, times have changed, and there's a new teaching method called problem-based learning. And today I'm quickly going to explain to you what problem-based learning is. Albert Einstein once said that if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Now you may ask, but what is this problem-based learning technique or method that we can use in our classrooms? Now, problem-based learning is an instructional, learner-centered approach that empowers the learners to conduct research, integrate theory and practice, and apply knowledge and skills to develop a viable solution to a defined problem. Through problem-based learning, the students get involved into groups where they are working to solve real-world problems. And this is quite different from the direct teaching method of a teacher, just presenting facts and concepts about a specific subject to a classroom of students. In the problem-based learning strategy, the student becomes the main driver of learning, and the teacher becomes a facilitator of this learning process. This means that the problem-based learning process enables the student to research a certain problem and come up with a solution, with the teacher only guiding and facilitating the learning process. Now, during this learning process, the facilitator's job is not to give answers to the student, but rather ask pointed questions to stimulate the learner's thinking so that the student will be able to draw on their own knowledge and be guided to appropriate resources. Therefore, problem-based learning is dependent on the student getting involved and directing his or her own learning. When problem-based learning is used in a classroom, the students will not only strengthen their teamwork, communication, and research skills, but they will also sharpen their critical thinking and problem-solving abilities that they will need for lifelong learning. There are also some characteristics that are general to problem-based learning. And the first one we see is that problem-based learning is a student-centric approach, as we've already mentioned in the previous slide. Then secondly, the students are asked to work in a team rather than individually, but each student in the team has to contribute uniquely. It's not just the work of one or two learners to solve the problem, the whole group needs to get involved in solving this problem. Thirdly, the students are given a problem which they need to solve by applying the knowledge they have learned. The next characteristic we see in problem-based learning is that the instructor don't just spoon feed and force them to learn what they find important. They merely act as a mentor and a research provider. Then finally, the last characteristic that we can link to problem-based learning is that the evaluation is not carried out to test the skills, but it should help in developing the skills of students. process helps the students to think critically based on different issues faced during solving the problem. Now you may ask, but why is problem-based learning a useful teaching strategy? When we compare problem-based learning to the traditional way of teaching, there are several reasons why this teaching approach is useful in the development of the student. Firstly, in the traditional way of lectures, the students struggle to remember and recall what they've learned. Also, in the traditional way of teaching, the students apply very less of what they've learned during the curriculum to solve real-world problems. As a teacher of a problem-based learning approach, it is important to find some mechanisms to create and involve the students in the learning process. But there are also some considerations that we need to take into consideration for using the problem-based learning approach. Before using the problem-based learning approach, it is important to keep in mind that the problem must first be presented to the learners. Rather than teaching relevant material and subsequently having students apply the knowledge to solve problems. Problem-based learning assignments can also be short and are often group-orientated. So it is important that you as teachers set aside classroom time to prepare the students to work in groups and to allow them to engage in their problem-based learning project. Now, what is the role of the student in the problem-based learning? Firstly, they have to examine and define the problem. Then they have to explore what they already know about the underlying issues related to it. They have to determine what they need to learn and where they can acquire the information and tools necessary to solve the problem. Then they have to evaluate possible ways to solve the problem. Then they have to report on their findings. Now, what steps do you need to follow as a teacher when you want to implement problem-based learning into your classroom? And the first step is that they have to explore the issue. At this stage, it is important to gather necessary information, learn new concepts, principles, and skills about the proposed topic. The next step is state what is known. The students use the scenario that is given to them. They need to list everything they already know about the scenario, and then also need to list what areas where they are lacking information. Sorry about that. The third step is that they have to define the issues, frame the problem in a context of what is already known, and information the students accept to learn. Step 4 is that they have to research the knowledge. Find resources and information that will help create a compelling argument. Step 5 is to investigate solutions. List possible actions and solutions to the problem. Formulate and test potential hypotheses. Step 6 is to present and support the chosen solution. Clearly state and support your conclusion with relevant information and evidence. And step 7 is to review your performance. Often forgotten, this is a crucial step in empowering your problem solving skills. Students must evaluate their performance and plan improvements for the next problem. Thank you very much, and I hope that you can take something from my PowerPoint and that you will be able to learn something about problem-based learning. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.